30, I'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call of supervisors, please. Thanks, Reggie.
There are 20 supervisors present. Supervisors Belsky, Nudo, and Poole are excused.
Citizens' comments. Are there any citizens wishing to speak? Please state your name and address for the record.
Huff. I live at 7939 34th Avenue, Kenosha, Wisconsin. I have a couple of questions for you. First is, how do you envision Kenosha? Do you want Kenosha to provide help for people experiencing homelessness, or do you want them rounded up and treated like criminals, as is happening in Washington, D.C. right now? We have at least 60 people living outside in Kenosha right now, according to the most recent point-in-time count, and that's just the ones that we could find. Some are living in their cars, some on the ground. The federal government has stopped money for utility support, decreased the amount for SNAP food share and rental assistance. They've decreased a lot of things. As you know, there's a lot of cuts. This and other changes will increase the current flow of people being evicted from their homes to a flood in the near future. The allotted HUD funding, which has been passed by the Congress, along with several other federal programs, will be discussed soon as to whether the money will actually be given out. So everyone's holding their breath here that's in a service position. If Washington decides to withhold fundings from these programs, what are you going to do? Are you going to let service agencies like KHDS and Shalom and stuff cut back their services because they won't have money from the federal government? At the same time, their services are going to be much more in demand than they even are now? Or are you going to be willing to increase local taxes? Oh, that's a terrible thing to say. That is just a horrible thought, that maybe we wouldn't have a steady tax or maybe even a decrease. God forbid. But do you really want a city where you've got people sleeping on the sidewalks and families huddling in doorways? Because the city police are now giving out tickets to people sleeping in parks after 10 o'clock at night, $124 a crack if you're caught sleeping in the park. And that's for people who are selling their plasma to get by. So I'm just asking you, what do you want to see happen? Do you want to see somebody get mad because you're asking for a tax increase that's going to keep people alive this winter? You know, it gets cold around here in the winter. You got women and children outside. What are you going to do? Or are you going to do the right thing? Some Kenosha citizens are forming a coalition to investigate options for improving the plight of the people that are outside. We may be able to come up with some options. We don't have any money or anything solid right now, but we're meeting every couple of weeks and we're trying to increase our numbers. What we probably need is a nightly shelter, another building, and other cities have night shelters for those that are outside, and it's because the government was willing to work with local churches, local organizations, and it happened. So it can happen. We can work collaboratively, and I hope that I will be able to talk to you in the future and let you know some ideas we've come up with, and maybe we can work together. But things are not going to get better before they get worse. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens wishing to speak? Any other citizens wishing to speak? Any other citizens wishing to speak? Seeing none, citizens' comments are closed. Moving on to announcements of the chairperson. Tonight I have a few, so please bear with me. Tonight I would like to recognize and celebrate an achievement that speaks to the strength and stability of Kenosha County government. Our AAA bond rating from Standards & Poor's, which was just released last week. This highest possible rating is not the result of a single decision or a single year's budget. It is a product of years of careful planning, fiscal discipline, and responsible choices made by this board, previous boards, our county executive, and our dedicated professional staff. I want to thank each supervisor for your commitment to sound financial stewardship. I also want to acknowledge the leadership of past county boards, the role of the county executive, and as well as the staff in helping us reach and sustain this milestone. Maintaining the standard has truly been a team effort built over time. The benefits of this achievement are significant. It lowers our borrowing costs, saving the taxpayers money on vital projects. It provides stability and flexibility in times of economic uncertainty. And it demonstrates to the residents and businesses alike that Kenosha County is a responsible, stable, and well-governed community. Our AAA rating is not a finish line. It is a standard we must work towards every day to uphold. That means continuing to manage debt responsibly, protecting our reserves, and making every budget decision with a long-term vision in mind. By honoring the discipline that brought us here and building on the foundation set by those who came before us, we can ensure Kenosha County remains financially strong for generations to come. Thank you, supervisors. Thank you to the county exec and to all who have served before us for your leadership in helping us achieve and preserve this proud distinction. I'd also like to highlight a few important events that will be upcoming in the recent weeks. First, this Sunday, August 24th, we will mark a truly special occasion, the centennial celebration of the Kenosha County Courthouse building. Festivities will begin at noon at the Civic Park Center, directly across the street from the courthouse. At 12:30, the University of Wisconsin Marching Band will perform, followed by remarks from several guest speakers. At 1:30, we will gather for a group photo on the front steps of the courthouse, and I hope that many of you can attend to be in that historic photo. The event will wrap up at 4 p.m. This is a great opportunity to celebrate the history and service of this institution, which has stood at the heart of our county for a full century. Next, looking ahead to September 4th, we will be holding our CIP overview at Brookside Care Center from 5:30 to 7:30. Dinner will be provided, and this session will give us all a chance to hear directly about upcoming CIP projects and planning priorities. This is a great opportunity to ask questions, share feedback, and stay well informed about the 2026 proposed budget. And finally, I'd like to remind everyone about the Fall Council of Governments meeting that is scheduled for Saturday, September 27th at the Pleasant Prairie Recplex. We'll begin with coffee and networking at 8 a.m., and the meeting itself will begin at 8:30. This is a valuable event for collaboration and discussion with other local and regional leaders, and I hope many of you can make it if your schedule allows. And that concludes my announcements. And now I'd like to introduce our youth in governance tonight. We have Timofey Kudravtsev, Stephanie Laganis, and Michael Sandwich. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's nice to see you. And moving on to supervisor reports. Supervisor Franco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to inform the board that on Thursday, August 28th, Professional Services Group will be hosting an event in recognition of International Overdose Awareness Day. The topic is What's New with Overdose Prevention in Kenosha. Those who attend can get Narcan trained as well as drug test strips. The start time is 3:30 p.m. and will be held at 2108 63rd Street. If you have any further questions about other details of the event, Carrie Foss is here to address them. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Franco. Supervisor Grady.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to bring you up to speed on Public Works, this past month, July, we did not have a regularly scheduled meeting due to lack of agenda items. So I'm reading just some of the highlights that are part of each department. We can begin with highways, and you may be aware that Highway JB closed yesterday from Highway 50. That's Highway B as in boy, closed from Highway 50 all the way to JB, and that should be limited access for residents only, finishing up in early September. 2 highway projects that have been completed. Highway C from 45 to 83 is done. Very nice job. Had supervisor comment on the first-hand inspection of it, and glad to see that main arterial opened again. Also, Highway KR, which went all the way from 45 to the west frontage road of the interstate, is now completed as well. So happy to see those 2 items being done. We're still working on some other projects. We've got County N, which is under construction, under development. That's out by Uline. And we have our regular road repair, weed control, and so forth going on, but I'll apprise you of new events as they come along. Say again now?
On the State Line Road, you're doing that bridge, that's what you're shutting down.
Okay. So Supervisor Nordigan reminds me that on State Line Road, there'll be a shutdown associated with is it WG?
East of 45.
East of 45, okay. We're on now to the Public Works and Facilities. We're looking at the report that we have, and we're doing some repairs, various parts of the infrastructure here. We are on our 4th and final phase, which I believe, as I speak now, at KCDC, that's the correctional facility out in County H. That is complete. Maybe a few punch list items, but it's been a long, arduous project, and we're happy to see that becoming close to finished. What else do we have? Oh, Brookside, we're doing some carpet and windowsill replacement. It's a $500,000 project. Dick Ocezak is the contractor, and we expect that should be done probably by the end of this month or beginning part of next month. What else do we have here? We have a special facilities report. We're talking about Kemper water infiltration, which is an ongoing restoration of tuck point and masonry. We've got some backup generator hookups that need to be done at the Highway 50 and 45. The generator's in place. It has to be hooked up and tested. That's been going on for a while. What else do we have? Ceremonial courtroom, that's ongoing. I'm sure you're aware of all of that. And then to our north, the public safety building, underground gasoline and diesel fuel tanks, that's been ongoing as well. And there's been some issues with budgeting, construction, and so forth, but that is getting to its final phase. We can now move on to taking a look at parks. Parks has a lot of information, a lot of things going on in the summertime. Each park, it seems, has its own little summertime agenda. You know, you look out at Bristol Woods, Pringle, and they have their Wednesday night gatherings out there for concerts and so forth. But the big one I'm searching for is the annual Party in the Park at Petrifying Springs. And that is a day-long event that has a whole host of activities. And as soon as I can find the date here, I will read that to you. That is the 16th of this month. It's already passed. I missed it. I didn't even go. So, my bad. So, a little behind the times here. That is it for parks for the time being. On to golf. We have the golf rounds, which are about 3,000 rounds below our record of last year. So even though last year was a record-setting year, this particular year we're slightly behind, but still, it's been a good year all in all. Weather's held up, playing conditions are good. We had quite a bit of tree work that had to be done out at Brightondale due to the storm which occurred earlier this summer, and at the printing of this particular document, It was 85% complete on the red course, 75% complete on the white, and 50% complete on the blue spruce. So those are the details I have for Public Works, and I thank you for your indulgence.
Thank you, Supervisor Grady. Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Chairman Uhas. Just a couple of comments. One, the Kenosha County Fair ended here on Sunday, and to my astonishment, I met Dave Gerson out there, and I guess this is the first year he's ever visited the fair, so thank you for coming out to the District 21 and enjoying yourself, I hope. Wonderful. Yeah, and I hope others come out and join next year. If you haven't been out there, you can't beat fun at the fair. Also, Council of Governments meeting was mentioned by Chair Uhas. I just want to let you know something I learned at the last one in the fall. There was a innovation planning grant and innovation grants. Innovation planning grant, states putting out $3 million. Of course, that's now since expired, but and the innovation grant, they're putting out $300 million. The idea is for multiple municipalities to get together and join forces on certain things. It could be a variety of different things. This was on April 12th. I was the Town of Randall chairman-elect, but not yet in position to do anything for the chairman, for the town, until the 15th. The expiration date of the planning grant was April 30th. So I got on my high horse and did everything I could to get in and get something going, and lo and behold, they gave us $75,000 grant money for a joint fire EMS between Town of Randall, Town of Wheatland, and the Village of Twin Lakes. So that study will be starting in November. So had I missed that, we would have missed out on a heck of an opportunity. So there is a lot of good information that you can pick up at the council government meetings. If you've not been to one and you have the time, go. I think it's well worth it. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Nordigan. Vice Chair Gashke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to follow up on the Chairman's announcement about the Sunday, August 24th, this Sunday, the centennial celebration of the county courthouse. There are two keepsake items that I'd encourage you to consider purchasing. One of them, you may have seen, is a beautiful decorative ornament that the county executive and her team have been working on. I believe some samples of that have been shown around already. Those will be on sale for $20 each. It's a beautiful keepsake ornament. We are headed into the holiday season, and if you'd like to use that for your holiday tree or just, keep it in your office, that could be a beautiful keepsake. Another item I wanted to mention that the committee has been working on is a beautiful, high-quality reproduction of a book from 100 years ago. So back originally, there is a book produced here with historic photos and information. There are still some of those original books floating around at the Historical Society and other places. Joe Potente has some if you'd be interested in seeing it. But we've partnered with Snap-on, and we're able to reproduce an updated version of this book with a updated foreword and additional information. And this book will sell for $15. If you're interested in both the ornament and the book together, you can save $5 by getting the ornament and the book for a combination of price of $30. So again, whether for yourself or for friends or family as we head into the holiday season, let me encourage you to check those out. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Gashke. Any other supervisor comments? Seeing none, supervisor comments are closed.
We'll pass the book around, starting here. You'll get a chance to preview it.
New business, Resolution 128 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Jeffrey Martin to serve on the Kenosha County Veterans Service Commission. This passed unanimously at committee.
Moved by Supervisor Franco, seconded by Supervisor Nez. Supervisor Franco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Resolution 128.
Moved by Supervisor Franco, seconded by Supervisor Nez. Supervisor Franco.
Yes, the Human Services Committee voted unanimously to appoint Jeffrey Martin to serve on the Kenosha County Veterans Service Commission. Mr. Martin is a retired veteran who served 30 years in the U.S. Navy and is actively involved in his local American Legion Post 544. We ask for the board's approval.
Thank you, Supervisor Franco. Any discussion on Resolution 128? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 128 passes unanimously.
Resolution 129 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Christopher Hanna to serve on the Kenosha County Local Emergency Planning Committee. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisors Carroll and Gray were excused.
Supervisor Franco.
I move Resolution 129.
Moved by Supervisor Franco, seconded by Supervisor Garcia. Supervisor Franco.
Yes, the Judiciary and Law Committee voted to appoint Sergeant Christopher Hanna to serve as a member of the Kenosha County Local Emergency Planning Committee. At present, Sergeant Hanna is the Director of the Kenosha Emergency Management Division. We ask for the board's approval.
Thank you, Supervisor Franco. Any discussion on Resolution 129? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution 129 passes unanimously.
Resolution 130 from the Public Works and Facilities and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution to approve the purchase of the property located at 11312 Burlington Road. This passed both committees with Supervisor Nudo voting nay. Supervisors Decker and Gray were excused from the Public Works Facilities Committee.
Supervisor Grady.
Move resolution number 130.
Moved by Supervisor Grady, seconded by Supervisor Gentz. Supervisor Grady.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is something that's been going on for quite some time. It really comes down to the fact that the state of Wisconsin has mandated that we as a county provide a transition place for those individuals, sexual offenders, who have served their sentences, are going to be returned to the community, and have to undergo some degree of rehabilitation. Being that it's been a long, drawn-out process and it's not been an easy go of it, I think the person best equipped to give us an update is Joe Cardamone, Corporation Counsel. So through the chair, I'd ask him to speak on this matter.
Thank you, Supervisor Grady.
Thank you, Supervisor and Madam Chair. For those of you on the Public Works or Finance Committees, I apologize in advance. This is going to likely be primarily repeated information. I will try to keep it concise, but there's a lot of sort of history here. As was mentioned, Chapter 980 provides a means for certain sexual offenders who are nearing the end of their criminal sentence to continue to be held for the purposes of treatment. These are individuals who are determined to be more likely than not to reoffend unless additional treatment is provided. The ability to continue to confine them after their sentence is concluded is premised on the fact that it is treatment, not punishment, and that they will be discharged at the time they're determined to no longer be more likely than not to reoffend. The final stage of the treatment process, referred to as supervised release, is community-based and is designed to help facilitate community reintegration. Supervised release has to be ordered by the court, and it has to be preceded by the court making specific findings that the individual has made sufficient progress in their treatment for it to be appropriate to move them to this final stage. Several years ago, the responsibility for locating a residential option for individuals for whom the court has ordered supervised release was transferred from the state to the individual's home county. Under the law, once the court determines an individual is eligible for supervised release and notifies the home county of that determination, the county is supposed to identify a residential option within 120 days and report that option to the state and the court. Failure to do so can result in sanctions against the county. The law has certain specific requirements as to where a residential option cannot be located, specifying certain restrictions. When Kenosha County received its first notice to identify housing, we attempted to follow the model that had apparently worked in other counties. We worked to identify available properties that appeared to meet all the legal criteria and restrictions and provided those to a list of vendors who had worked or had expressed interest in working with the state on this program. Typically, a county identifies a property by connecting a willing property owner or landlord with the state and advising the owner is prepared to enter into a lease agreement with the state. We followed this approach unsuccessfully for several years. At one point, one of the judges handling these matters, noting our lack of success with the vendor model, ordered us to build or place a structure on the grounds of the Kenosha County Detention Center. In many ways, having some type of temporary dwelling on the KCDC grounds was felt to be the best solution we were likely to find. It was a property we already owned, it wasn't in a residential area, and it was already under constant surveillance. Unfortunately, while it is our property, it's located in the city and is therefore subject to their zoning regulation. We applied for a permit and had it denied on the grounds that the district was zoned IP or institutional park and didn't allow for any new residential construction. We submitted a second permit application attempting to tailor it to the language of the zoning ordinance and arguing it was consistent with the institutional use of the KCDC, and we were denied a second time. While this process was playing out, I was regularly appearing in court before the 3 judges involved to update on the process and was ordered by one of the judges to appeal that denial. We did take that to the city's Board of Appeals and had that appeal denied as well. For context, that same judge initially ordered the city to appear to explain why they were impeding our efforts to comply with the court order, but when the city appeared, they'd filed a brief explaining why they felt they were not properly under the court's jurisdiction, and they were excused from further proceedings. I should also advise we did have multiple meetings with various members of city staff and administration attempting to secure their cooperation on this project, but were ultimately unable to secure their assistance. At this point, we have multiple orders from the 3 courts, but the key piece of information is that all 3 have directly ordered the county to purchase property for the purposes of complying with the placement orders that have been entered. One of the courts entered an order at the end of May, giving the county 60 days to acquire a property. We located the property that's the subject of the resolution, and I then attempted to work with 2 different outside vendors to see if they were interested in buying the property and leasing it to the state. One passed on it, and the other made an offer under the asking price, which was rejected. When I reported this to the judge, she ruled that the order wasn't for someone else to buy a property, but for the county to buy one, and found the county in contempt. She stayed that finding and the sanction that she imposed to see how the county would proceed. The day after that finding, we made our first offer on the property. That offer was rejected, and the price of the property was raised. We then made a second offer at the new asking price, and that offer was accepted. When I reported this to the judge about 10 days ago, she advised that we had an accepted offer contingent on board approval. She explicitly instructed me to make sure the board was aware that there are sanctions which have been stayed pending what happens next. Currently, the state sanction is $250 a week, but I believe that this would likely increase if we remain out of compliance, and the other 2 courts could very well impose monetary sanctions as well. All of this is to let you know that we are taking this step, purchasing this property, as a final resort. We are doing it in order to comply not only with state law, but also with direct court orders, and we're doing it because I believe the alternative is going to be potentially significant monetary sanctions designed to compel us to purchase a property, and which would not relieve us from that responsibility, but would be in addition to the ultimate cost of a purchase. This is not an ideal situation, but it is what it is. Between the current state of the housing market, where most properties are moving very quickly, much more quickly than a government entity can respond and move, and the orders from the courts, this appears to be the best option available to us. I should also advise that once we acquire the property, I would then enter into negotiations with a lease agreement with the state. We would be leasing it to the state for this purpose. They haven't been willing to enter into those negotiations until we actually own the property, but I've been advised that we would likely be looking at a rental amount between $2,000 and $3,000 a month for this purpose. I'm happy to answer other questions if supervisors have them, but again, I'll just reiterate what I said previously and what I said at the meeting last week. I'm bringing this before you because I don't know that we really have any other options.
Thank you, Corporation Counsel. Supervisor Grady, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to add a couple of items to the informational packet. This particular property is located on Highway S, Washington Road, immediately east of the Quick Trip superstore that's there. So it's a rather, I would say, not so much of a residential area anymore, it's going more commercial. And the idea that this is not maybe our first choice, it's boiled down to, at the moment, at least it's our only choice. So it's not without some reservation and soul searching we've approved this, but we ask for your approval this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Grady. Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Chair Uhas. I guess these would be directed to Corp Counsel. So must the county own the facility?
Do we have to own it?
Right.
We don't have to own it other than the fact that we've now been ordered to purchase something.
I understand, but in general. So are there other county-owned homes for this facility, for this type of situation?
I believe there is at least one other county that has found itself.
I mean Kenosha County.
Oh, in Kenosha County,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. Okay.
No.
Is this going to set a precedence? We can't find housing, because let's face it, there isn't any housing in this county to find. So now we're going to have to go out and overpay, ridiculously overpay. Let me tell you why I say ridiculously. This house was originally listed in November 22nd, 2024 for $350,000. it was so well thought of that in February of 2025, it was reduced to $340,000. And then, again, so well thought of, the high value of this property, that in June 1st of 2025, the selling price was again dropped to $335,000. So we're going to pay 28% above the current asking price of $335,000, or $95,000 above what it was at that time. This is setting a real dangerous precedence. We're going to be buying homes all over the place as these sexual predators get out. And again, I don't have a problem with them getting out and finding the proper place to live. But why do we have to buy it? And I understand you're saying that the judge is saying we have to, but we are going to have what happens to this home when we no longer need it for sexual predators?
That'll be a decision that'll be made by the decision makers at that point in time. I would anticipate that we would sell it at that point, and based on the intended use in that area, I would imagine we would sell it to a commercial interest.
Okay, and then, do you know if there were any improvements made from the time that they originally listed it to the time that we bought it?
I'm not aware of any. I'll be very frank with you. I believe the increase in the price was because they weren't thrilled with our intended use. And
Who was not thrilled with the intended use?
the owners.
The owners, is that not redlining? Isn't that saying, hey, nothing here, we don't want you here? And, I mean, isn't that some sort of anti-housing situation?
If it's not based on a protected factor, I don't know that it would be.
And then, how would they know what the use was for?
Because one of the factors for the use is that we have to do a law enforcement review of the property at the point in time when you knock on doors, people start talking, so.
Okay.
And it's one of the things that has made this incredibly challenging.
And I think another problem I really have with it is the assessed value, again, we know assessed values aren't always that close, but assessed value, $278,900. Total estimated fair market value is $266,700. I mean, we're getting a shaft on this all the way around. This is just really I don't know how we can be forced to buy something that is so far overpriced that it just makes no sense at all. And you do have an error on your offer the purchase. You've got the tax parcel number wrong in our offer purchase. According to the county's GIS real estate property tax bill, the first two numbers should be 8.2 and not 8.4 as you have it.
My apologies, I'll make sure we
I'm
get that fixed.
just letting you point it out. I mean, I don't like it. I'm going to vote against it just because of the way it's gone about. I think the county is going to take one on the chin. I understand that it's being forced down our throat, but it doesn't mean I got to vote for it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Nordigan. Vice Chair Gaschke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the Chair to Corporation Counsel, Attorney Cardamone, I asked you this question in committee, but just so the whole body can hear the answer as well, it's a follow-up to what Supervisor Nordigan asked, about this potentially setting a bad precedent and us overpaying for houses in the future. I had asked you if you anticipate us having to place people, similar people, in future situations, and I believe you had said that based on certain law changes and things that you didn't necessarily anticipate this, us needing more than 3 placements. Is that still the case? Could you speak to that?
It is, and I'm a lawyer, so I got to add caveats. I can't read the future. I can't say definitively, but I'm not aware of other similarly situated individuals who are likely to need housing in the near future.
So as best as we can tell, this is a one-time situation, and we're trying to remedy a difficult one-time situation.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Vice Chair Gaschke. Supervisor Decker.
I don't think anyone's happy about this, but unfortunately, we're between a rock and a hard place. Would anyone on this board like a sex predator placed next to them? No? No? No, you don't have a sex predator, you have a sex offender. There's a difference. These are 980 sex predators that are the worst of the worst. These are not sex offenders, these are sex predators. No one here wants one placed next to their house. No one wants one in their district even, because these offenders were supposed to be placed in Wheatland years ago on Highway 50. The town got that stopped because inadvertently there was a child living next door. Can't be placed next to a child. Then these offenders were supposed to be placed in Trevor, which would be, he wasn't on the county board at that time, but Supervisor Poole's district. That got stopped because that was close to a park. No one wants these people living next to them. We can't find a place. This is our best option when this has been over 5 years. We have been trying to find a home for some of these guys. And they've supposed to have been out of jail for 5 years. This is our worst, or our best worst option. I'm not happy about it. I am happy that we already have the money because we set it aside for the dormitories at the jail that we had wanted to build previously. So I'm glad we don't have to budget money for this. I'm also glad that it's getting done. I'm also glad that these offenders are going to be in a house and it's not a lifetime thing. I asked Corp Counsel, he said most of the time they're in there 3 to 5 years. I again asked Corp Counsel, will we sell this house after we're done? Yes. And the way the property is located, hopefully we make money on this selling it as a commercial property. And we are hopefully getting between $2,000 and $3,000 a month rent on this to help pay for it. So yes, it's a horrible situation, but it's something we're stuck with. And people will complain that the state used to take care of this and then it got switched to us. I'm glad it's us. Yes, it's a big pain, but at least we have the power of placing them where we want. When it was at the state, they would come in, say this predator is getting placed here and there's nothing you can do about it. That's how it was. So the situation is better now than it was. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Supervisor Meadows.
Yeah, Supervisor Decker mentioned a lot of what I wanted to say. I did vote to approve this in committee, just simply knowing that the state was going to be paying us $2,000 to $3,000 per month to offset the cost of acquiring the property, and the fact that the property value will likely increase over the next 3 to 5 years if we sell it commercially. I know it's been on the market for a long time because it's a really crummy place to build a residential house. It's surrounded by warehouses and gas stations. Nobody wants to live there. So to me, it's not surprising that it was decreasing the offer, but in the long run, I think it's going to be a net positive to the county. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Meadows. Supervisor Gray.
Thank you, Chairman Uhas. This is in my district, and on the heels of what Supervisor Decker said, I'm grateful that we can control where this goes. It's a bad situation. It could be a horrific situation if we don't have that. And I would, 5 years is a long time. It's court-ordered, and I congratulate staff for finding this. It is in the middle of nothing. Fields right now, gas station, warehouses. There's not a bus stop nearby. If it has to go somewhere, I'm in support of where it is. And in my district, I would be voting for this.
Thank you, Supervisor Gray. Supervisor Franco.
Yes, thank you. Corp Counsel, isn't it true that these individuals will be under house arrest and be monitored as well? I think that's an important fact that needs to be addressed.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor Franco. I was actually just thinking of a couple of aspects that I missed in my presentation. That's correct. For a minimum of the first year, they're under what amounts to house arrest. They're not permitted to leave the premises without an escort. After that, again, everything is sort of dependent on the progress that they make in the treatment. These escorts are likewise provided and paid for by the state. That's not a cost that we have just because we own the house. So they're very closely monitored. I believe they're under 24/7 monitoring, in addition to the house arrest aspect of it. The other thing I should have said, and again, this is just in interest of full context, one of the other potential risks of not not succeeding in getting a placement. One of them I've already mentioned is the potential for financial sanctions from the court. Another one is, at a certain point, the court may sort of throw up their hands and say, we are unable to place them under the supervised release program, and simply discharge them, at which point they are released without any supervision, without any treatment, without any monitoring, and are simply out. We actually had one of those individuals, and fortunately for us, upon being discharged, they decided the last thing they wanted to do was stick around Kenosha and left the state. But that is a very real threat, I think, as well, if we can't resolve this issue.
Supervisor Franco, any other questions or comments?
I'm done.
Okay, any other comments from supervisors on this issue? Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Chair Uhas. Just one more question. We talked about potential future predators being released and needing placement. We don't know what, like I said, the future is going to hold. Do we know of anyone that is currently serving time that has a scheduled release date to when we're going to have to look for placement for them?
We do not. The two other individuals who are currently under commitment that I'm aware of, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I turned it off. We do not. The other two individuals that I'm aware of who are under commitment are nowhere near being released, and the last time I've checked, there was no indication that that was any sort of imminent action.
Okay. And I guess to come back to Supervisor Meadows' plan is about the home not being that great, you know, for what they were looking at. Maybe that's why the numbers were going down. But if it was so great for commercial, it would have been sold for commercial already. So I guess if this is something that we may need to hang on to, if we don't know what the future brings, I don't know. Because it sounds like I don't want to go through this process again in whatever amount of years, because we can't find anything or nobody will use their facility. I mean, is it something we should be looking at as a long-term type thing?
I guess all I could say is, my best advice would be we'll have to let this play out and then make a determination at the point in time that it's not being actively used, whether we need to retain it for possible future use.
Okay. But it looks like up to 5 years is what you're saying currently? Up to 3 to 5 years.
I can't get a straight answer from the state because it's going to be dependent on individual progress in treatment, but my understanding is that typically they're in the program for 3 to 5 years.
Okay. But these are the same ones, Supervisor Decker, that we couldn't get in Salem Lakes? The same two?
At least one of them, I believe. I don't know if it's all of them, but at least one of them.
And there's going to be 2?
There'll be 3.
3. And it's, how much are the state paying per, is it $3,000 per month per?
It's for the residents, it's not per individual.
Just for the rent of the facility? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Nordigan. Supervisor Carroll.
Oh, yeah, just a couple questions. What would be the closing date, and when would the offenders be placed there?
We haven't scheduled a closing date because obviously the offer was contingent on board approval. If the board does approve it tonight, I will be in touch with the real estate agent hopefully tomorrow. I say hopefully because some people already know, and it's sort of laughable, but I'm literally on jury duty this week. Everyone said they'll never leave a lawyer on a jury panel, but but if I can't reach her tomorrow, then I'll do it on Thursday, you know, when I'm done. But we'll get it set up. We'll try and get it set up as expeditiously as possible. The next steps will sort of be in the hands of the state Department of Health Services and the court. My best guess is that it would probably be 45 to 60 days before the placement was actually finalized.
Okay. Are there any improvements that we need to make to the property to facilitate it?
Not that I'm aware of. We did have staff take a look at it and didn't notice any significant problems. That will be one of the things the state will also look at and make sure there isn't anything that we need to do. It's an interesting combination of responsibilities between landlord and renting agency in terms of who's responsible for what. For example, we have to provide appliances, they provide all the furnishings. I was asked by Public Works and Facilities about like lawn care and was told that, in fact, they have the residents mow the lawn. It's part of the therapy, is that they have to be working out in the yard. So, I mean, it's, I don't have all those answers, but we'd work through them as quickly as possible.
Okay. That concludes my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Carroll. Any other questions on Resolution 130? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Supervisor Morrissey is opposed. Supervisor Nordigan, you voted aye? I did. Okay, thank you.
Resolution 131 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution to accept and utilize Wisconsin Land Information Program grant funding for Kenosha County land records project activities. This passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Gens. Moved by Supervisor Gens, seconded by Supervisor Kirby. Supervisor Gens.
Thank you. This grant is for $20,000. The funds will be used towards two projects, our internal delinquent tax parcel management application and a software upgrade to the enterprise mapping system. This passed unanimously at committee, and we ask for your support this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Gens. Any discussion on Resolution 131? Seeing none, this does require a two-thirds vote. If you're in favor, you'll vote yes. If you're against, you'll vote no.
Resolution 131 passes unanimously. Resolution 132 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement and Finance Administration Committees, a resolution to repurpose joint services capital funds. This passed unanimously at both committees. Supervisor Carroll and Gray were excused from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee.
Supervisor Franco.
I move Resolution 132.
Motion by Supervisor Franco, seconded by Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Franco.
The Judiciary and Law and Finance Committees voted to repurpose joint service surplus capital funds in the amount of $100,000 in order to purchase a new car washing station. The total costs are around $180,000 and will be split between the county and the city as per an intergovernmental agreement. We ask for the board's approval.
Any discussion on Resolution 132? Seeing none, this also requires a two-thirds vote. If you're in favor, vote yes. If you're against, vote no.
Resolution 132 passes unanimously. Resolution 133 from the Human Services and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution to accept the Vital Strategies opioid settlement match grant. This passed unanimously at both committees.
Supervisor Franco.
I move Resolution 133.
Moved by Supervisor Franco, seconded by Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Franco.
The Human Services and Finance Committees both approved a resolution to accept the Vital Strategies opioid settlement match grant of $91,909. The county will match the grant by hiring a full-time navigator funded with opioid settlement dollars as the match. We ask for the board's approval.
Thank you, Supervisor Franco. Any discussion on Resolution 133? Seeing none, this also requires a two-thirds vote.
Resolution 133 passes unanimously. Resolution 134 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution to approve the transfer of an outlot to the City of Kenosha. This passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Gens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Resolution 134.
Moved by Supervisor Gens, seconded by Vice Chair Gashke. Supervisor Gens.
Thank you. This is the first of 3 resolutions that transfer parcels that we have taken on tax deed to other municipalities. It saves the county time and money in not having to maintain these parcels and transfers them to the municipalities that can utilize them. This is the first thin strip of land near Indian Trail and Mahone Middle School. It runs along the KUSD retention outlet. Will transfer to the city, who will then transfer it to KUSD, who will maintain it along with the rest of their property. This passed unanimously at committee, and we ask for your support this evening.
Thank you, Supervisor Gens. Any discussion on Resolution 134? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Resolution 135 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution to approve the transfer of an outlet to the Village of Bristol. This passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Gens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Resolution 135.
Moved by Supervisor Gens, seconded by Supervisor Brookhouse. Supervisor Gens.
This is the second resolution out of the 3 that I just spoke about. This is a long, thin strip of land which appears to be a former railroad right-of-way, and it totals 5.39 acres, but is currently undevelopable. Say that 5 times fast. The Bristol Village Board has approved the transfer. It's passed unanimously at committee, and we ask for your support.
Thank you, Supervisor Gens. Any discussion on Resolution 135? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution 135 passes unanimously.
Resolution 136 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution to approve the transfer of 8 outlots to the Village of Pleasant Prairie. This passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Gens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Resolution 136.
Moved by Supervisor Gens, seconded by Supervisor Gama. Supervisor Gens.
Thank you. This is the 3rd resolution. It's a group of 8 outlots, and it includes 5 thin strips similar to the other 2. The other 3 outlots are retention pond wetlands, with 1 completely underwater in Lake Michigan, which we don't have to mow. The village will pay the county $2,986.06. Sorry, I got into the bonding mode, and which satisfies much of the tax liens. The village board has approved the transfer. It's passed unanimously at committee, and we ask for your support this evening.
Thank you, Supervisor Gens. Any discussion on Resolution 136? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Resolution 137 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution authorizing and providing for the sale and issuance of not to exceed $21,410,000 general obligation promissory notes, Series 2025A, and all related details. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Nudo was excused.
Supervisor Gens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Resolution 137.
Moved by Supervisor Gens, seconded by Supervisor Gerstin. Supervisor Gens.
Thank you. This is great news. This resolution authorizes the sale of notes to the lowest bidder, which is Loop Capital Markets LLC, which is a name I haven't heard before in all my years. So that's interesting. The county did receive 6 bids. The true interest cost of the lowest bid is 3.1448%. The issue was downsized to $21,185,000. The overall cost is $510,339 less than the pre-sale estimates. So I think when we first started, we were at like 3.47. So it's really a good deal for us. John Cameron from Ellers, as well as the finance staff, are here if there are any questions. Passed unanimously at committee, and we ask for your approval this evening.
Thank you, Supervisor Gens. Any discussions on Resolution 137? Seeing none? Roll call has been requested.
Well, we have to.
Resolution 137 passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Communications 105, communication from the Department of Human Services, a resolution to modify the Division of Behavioral Health Services 2025 budget for a grant state crisis intervention program.
Refer to Human Services and Finance Administration Committees.
106, communication from Andy M. Bueller regarding future items scheduled before the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee.
Receive and file.
Claims 42, Patrick O'Rourke, property damage.
Refer to Corporation Council.
43, Stephen Lorenz, property damage.
Refer to Corporation Council.
44, Clifton Peterson, property damage.
Refer to Corporation Council.
45, Trion Dwan Vaughn, general liability.
Refer to Corporation Council.
The approval of the July 15th, 2025 County Board and Committee of the Whole minutes by Supervisor Nordigan.
Supervisor Nordigan.
Move the minutes.
Minutes have been moved by Supervisor Nordigan, seconded by Supervisor Decker. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Decker to adjourn, seconded by Supervisor Morrissey. All in favor? Aye. Aye. We are adjourned.